I have never been into astrology. Seeing as I'm a queer woman, this may come as a surprise to you, but I've just never been into it. I've never understood it. I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that I'm an Aries, and I could be wrong, but I've never felt like I give off like big Aries vibes. So I've always just felt like it was wrong and then it didn't mean anything. But I have some friends who are pretty into astrology, and most of them say that you have to look up your whole chart and then things will kind of start to fall into place. I don't know if I believe that, but that's what we're gonna do. I have looked at my chart once before because it came up in conversation where somebody was asking about everybody's moon and ascending signs, and I don't remember which is which, but I remember one of them was Virgo and one of them was Scorpio. And it's just like those two combined with me being an Aries, to me, just feels like astrology is telling me that I'm a bitch. Maybe I am. I like to think that I'm not. And I could be wrong about that interpretation, but we're gonna look up my whole chart, read through it, and maybe things will fall into place. So I've pulled up cafeastrology.com and I'm gonna put in my info and see what we find. I could screen record and pop it up on the screen, but that sounds like a lot of work, so I'm not gonna do that. We'll just read it out loud. I don't know the exact time that I was born, so hopefully it's not that important. I know I was born like around 3, so hope it works. This is my second attempt at filming because before the website crashed. Alright, change of plans, because Cafe Astrology keeps crashing, so we are now on justastrologythings.com. I don't know what signs people care about. I don't know what to read out. Maybe I should screen record. I'm not going to. As I said before, my sun is Aries, my moon is Scorpio, and my ascendant is Virgo, so I did kind of remember that correctly. I guess I'll just go through all the planets. I don't know if people care about the houses or whatever else is here. There's a lot. There's a lot here. I don't know anything about astrology. Mercury is Aries, Venus is Pisces, Mars is Aries, Jupiter is Pisces, Saturn is Aries, Uranus is Aquarius, Neptune is Aquarius, and Pluto is Sagittarius. We're gonna read the interpretations now and see if I relate to any of it. So we have Sun in Aries. As the first sign of the zodiac, Aries represents the spark of energy that instigates new life. It's a lively, vigorous sign. Individuals with this sun sign are straightforward, clear, and direct, and they expect the same from others. People born under this sign are leaders of the pack, the first ones in line to get things going. They tend to be the life of the party. They light up a room with their charisma. No. No. I don't talk. The present is most important to Aries. Absolutely not. I am constantly living in the past or freaked out about the future. I never think about the present. They are aware of what they want and see the quickest way in achieving it. Whether their undertakings get done is another question, however, as Aries initiates tasks more than they complete them. That's pretty true. But that's the first thing about Aries that's rung true to me. Some Aries people are bold, but even the quieter ones are courageous in their own way. Individuality and independence is their birthright. The leadership shown by Aries is most impressive as they have that sort of individual attraction. They love a challenge and are happiest when their lives are active and moving. I think there's an element of truth in that, but I also think that there's an element of truth in that in everybody. Most people like it when they're being challenged and learning and have things to keep themselves occupied. That's why we're all going crazy right now. But I'll give it to them, sure. All Aries sun people possess a childlike quality that proves to be quite charming. Okay. Fine. I will say, though, that I realize I'm wearing a SpongeBob shirt right now, and I do have my childish moments, but only when I'm like by myself or with people that I'm very, very comfortable with. On to my moon, which is in Scorpio. The moon rules the moods and emotions. The moon sign may influence how strongly your sun sign is expressed, which is why people with the same zodiac sun sign may behave differently. So maybe that's what's happening with me, which is why I'm very much not an Aries despite being an Aries. The inner emotions of a Scorpio moon are, to say the least, intense. Great. This is a dark position of the moon. These people burn with deep passion and desire. This gives Scorpio moons a deep understanding of human emotions, making them have an almost uncanny sense for the moods of people around them. I will say that I like to think that I have pretty high emotional intelligence. I've always been like the therapist friend. I guess that rings true, but I think a lot of that for me is because I went through some rough patches in my life that allowed me to develop an emotional intelligence. So, still not convinced. The dark intensity of this sign might not be apparent on the surface, however. Scorpio moons tend to hold their feelings rather than outwardly express them. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Didn't have to call me out like this, just astrologythings.com. These people tend to be very secretive, and it may be hard for them to express their feelings in words. In order to truly open up to someone, a Scorpio moon must have a very strong sense of trust with the other person. Yeah. Yep. The Scorpio moon will be extremely loyal and honest if that trust is ever broken. However, the Scorpio moon may never forgive the person. I don't know if that's true. I am arguably too forgiving. Scorpio moons are individuals that hold on tightly to the few people they let into their inner circle. They know how to really connect with others on an emotional level and truly need these strong connections in order to feel emotionally secure. Ultimately, they need people who can explore the depths of life with them, helping them uncover truths about themselves. I'm relating far more to my moon sign than I am to my sun sign. Maybe that's normal. I don't know. In relationships, a Scorpio moon needs someone who's extremely loyal and honest. This sign is known to take relationships very seriously, as they give lots of attention and affection once they commit to a person. Woo! The mysteriousness of a Scorpio gives them strong sexual energy. That's not me. That is not me. I'm asexual. No, but everything else in the Scorpio moon is like spot on, so maybe they know what they're talking about. Still not convinced, but I felt pretty called out with a lot of that, so. Right, Virgo rising. The ascendant is known as the mask one wears when meeting new people. It takes in both appearance and personality, which is why some may identify with their ascendant more than they do with their sun sign. So we'll see if maybe I'm really a Virgo at heart. Virgo ascendants are somewhat understated in their appearance and mannerisms. For the most part, there is a reserved and intellectual air about Virgo rising people that is well known to the people around them. They are slightly timid individuals who tend to analyze things around them before they warm up to the circumstances and individuals. Do I believe in astrology now? Because, again, like, just hitting the nail on the head. Because I even with Aries, I was talking about, like, oh, like, I'm so quiet, I don't talk to people, I like to sit in the back and observe and whatever, and, like, that's exactly what this is. And I've had so many people tell me that, like, they thought I was just a stone cold bitch before they met me. Yeah, right here. This trait may be interpreted just as that, but to some people, it may come off as standoffish, cool, or even critical. And that's exactly what, like, everybody thought I was like when they first met me, because I just kind of stood in the corner not talking to everybody and just taking in all the information that I could. I wasn't expecting it to be this accurate. One of the biggest attributes of this rising sign is body mindfulness. Many are particularly worried about physical well-being, and some are pulled into mind-body mindfulness activities like yoga. Virgo rising individuals are frequently specific about food as well. They can have good appetites, but there may be pickiness in what they put in and on their bodies. That one, not so much. But that's only, like, one small part, and the rest of this is, like, really weirdly accurate to me. But again, there's, like, a million people who fit this description. It's still, like, probably just a coincidence that I'm relating to it this much, especially because, like, my sun sign, I was like, most of this is not at all accurate to me. But it is interesting that both my moon and my ascendant were pretty spot on. It's fun to think about, but I'm still not convinced. They do have descriptions for the rest of the planets and for the houses, so I'm gonna skim through those and I'll point out if anything interesting comes out, but I'm not gonna do a full read through of all of them like I did for the first three. It's just because sun, moon, and ascendant are the signs that people typically tend to care about, so I wanted to go more in depth with those. My Mercury is in Aries, and kind of just summing it up really quickly, they're saying that, like, you think really quickly. If anybody disagrees with you, you kind of just get angry about it, you don't understand their point of view, and that you don't focus on small details, you're very much more bigger picture, and that is not further from the truth. I mull things over for so long. I'm always here for a healthy debate. There are some opinions that, yeah, I'll write them off immediately, but, like, for the most part, I think it's good to hear both sides of an argument, and I'm arguably too focused on the details. Like, I wish I could be more bigger picture about things, but I get so hung up on small things. My Pluto is in Sagittarius, which it's saying it's a generational planet, so I'm assuming that that means that like most of the people who are around my age will also have a Pluto in Sagittarius. I'm not positive. But it's basically talking about that people with Pluto in Sagittarius are tolerant and they, you know, like to learn and travel and whatever. I don't know why this is just killing me. It says there also might be a lot of long distance travel to foreign places, maybe even space. What? What kind of statement is that? I don't know why that's killing me, but it is. This generation is concerned with foreign travel and life on other planets. I feel like those are two very different things. Thinking about aliens is cool, and like traveling the world is cool. To like equate those two as one is a bold statement. My moon is in 3rd house, and it says that means that I'm good at communicating my feelings. I'm not. It also directly contradicts what my moon sign said, which is that I'm not good at communicating my feelings. See, and again, Saturn in 9th house, and it talks about how you might experience delays in travel and higher education and feel uncomfortable with long distance travel, and that directly contradicts what you were saying earlier. It's really dark. I need to turn on a light. Uranus in 6th house, it talks about how you hate routines and you need to have like an unconventional schedule and you like being your own boss, and that cannot be further from me. I love having a routine and I love having someone tell me what they expect me to do. But it does also say have a career in technology, science, or innovation, and I don't have a job, but I do have a math degree, so kind of. I've also noticed that a lot of these are saying things along the lines of like, you may have had an overprotective parent, or you may have had to step into a role of responsibility at too young of an age, or things along those lines, which there's no way that your star signs predict that. That doesn't have anything to do with you, with like your brain or whatever. Like, that has to do with the other people in your life. I don't think that your star signs affect you at all, period. Like, I'm still not convinced even after reading my whole chart. There were a few things that were correct, but there were also a lot of things that weren't. And I think there's maybe some confirmation bias, and maybe there's some confirmation bias happening on my end, that I'm more focused on the things that are wrong than the things that aren't, because I went into this thinking that it wasn't going to be accurate. But even with me not believing that star signs affect your personality, I can still see the fun in it, and I can see how maybe some people would believe it, but I refuse to believe that anybody thinks that your star sign can predict that, like, oh, you're gonna have crappy parents, or like a guardian of yours is going to pass away when you're young, and so you have to step into a responsibility position. The stars are not predicting that. Alright, there's a whole thing about how different signs are interacting with each other, but I feel like I've done enough reading, so I'm gonna call it. Oh my god, I've been filming for 40 minutes. It was interesting to read about. They did hit some things like right on the head. There were also some things that weren't accurate at all. I wasn't expecting my beliefs to change. I was kind of just doing this for fun, seeing what I would find, so kept myself occupied for almost an hour. I still don't believe in astrology.